Okay, next up is one that is very super close to my heart and my home. Hatch Kids. It's a program we started about 3 years ago to invite Gen Z, all of our kids, to produce meaningful content about things they care about and to do it with the full power of the social web. So we have the epic and amazing and dauntless Gabrielle Reece here to moderate a panel about advice to my 7th grade self, along with mentors Charli Howard, a body activist and model, and Quincy Davis, pro surfer, and amazingness in lifestyle, social media. So look out for all of them on social, tag Hatch Kids, and enjoy some advice to your 7th grade self. Gabby. Sorry.
We're flipping the script. Hatch Kids are taking over. What is Hatch? Inspiring, excited, important, helpful. It's really honest. Hatch is a place where kids come to learn and discuss certain things about our world and stuff that is happening in our daily lives, like social media and feminism and the way women are being treated and things like that.
Hatch is a place where teens and tweens get to have a voice.
Hatch is special because it's a place where kids can just tell everybody who they are and not be ashamed to do it.
Hatch makes me feel like it can actually have an impact on the world and what is going on.
It makes me feel special. It makes me feel like, wow.
All right, guys, so thanks for listening. Indomitable Gabrielle Reece, are you leaving me stranded? Are you coming up? Okay, there she is, there she is.
Hi. They figured since I was here earlier that I would just moderate this panel. Charli Howard, Quincy Davis, Zaki, you want to say hi? Zaki.
Hey.
There's Reed.
Oh, right.
This is our special guest Hatch participant, Elyssa. Elyssa, say hi. And believe me, you will know Jojo by the end of this. I just want you to know that. Actually, why don't you go on the end and we'll slice them in between us. So you guys sit down. The reason that we wanted to get together and talk about raising, confident humans, and I certainly think girls have probably a little bit of a different path, but in this day and age, I just think confident humans is a great start. I personally have 3 daughters, age 9, 13, and actually almost 22, so they're sort of all different spectrums of their hormonal process. And this is something that's really important to me because when I was 12 years old, I was 6 feet tall. And I'm 6'3" now, but that certainly people weren't going like, that is awesome. They just thought I was a substitute teacher at the school. So I just know the importance of having either role models or people around me going, just be who you are and it'll work out. And so I'm really honored to have everyone here. And I'm gonna start with Charli because Charli has an interesting story and I'll let her tell you. When she was younger, it's teased for being underdeveloped, then goes into fashion, then given a hard time to lose weight. And so really what we want to talk about is just messaging on how do we help young people, tweens, and at the beginning of teenagehood, which is, we all know, such a difficult time. What are the things we can do? What are the secrets, some tools that we can help them navigate that just a little bit easier?
Should I start off my story, or?
Well, I just love to know how you have navigated your own path of, you go into modeling and they're sort of giving you a hard time about losing weight and just sort of why you decided to flip it and become an advocate for yourself and for the message of be who you are.
Yeah, sure. Throughout school, I was underdeveloped in 7th grade, and then I really quickly put on quite a bit of weight. And so throughout my teens, I kind of struggled with being a bit bigger than everyone else, and I'm 5'8", and whilst I'm not as tall as Gabby, I was still quite tall compared to other girls in my class. So the weight was kind of spread out, and then when I reached 18, the weight kind of came off, but I still wasn't as thin as models, and modeling was all I wanted to do because it was a gateway out of where I came from. So I became a model, but in order to be a model, I had to be a certain size. So I slimmed myself down to a size 2, and I maintained that weight for a good 2.5 years, but after a while, it becomes impossible to stay that slim. And it really did take a lot of effort for me to do that. And then eventually I just had enough, and I wrote this Facebook letter that went viral where I told my agency to F off. I wouldn't recommend you doing that, but and after that I just embraced my natural shape, became a plus size model, which may seem a bit weird considering I'm like a US 6 to 8.
That is weird.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that's weird. Okay.
But yeah, so that's what I'm doing now, and I run a charity called the All Women Project, which features women of all different shapes, sizes, colours, you know, because what I really want to do is create the images that I didn't see growing up and show women are all beautiful in their own way. So that's what I'm doing now.
So Charli, what did you find when you came out with this message? And you know, you said piss off, right? Because that's what you English do. Piss off. It just sounds better when they say it, though. What did you get? How did you get the sense that girls were really craving somebody saying, "Oh, I feel that way too"?
Yeah, well, you know, what people have to remember is that in fashion, it's a world of extremes. So you tend to get the Ashley Grahams, who are, you know, I don't know what size they are in US sizing, a 14. And then you've got the super skinny girls as well, but there was no one really of my size, and there isn't really anyone of my size that's kind of in between. So there is definitely a need for women who just are in between, who look like all, you know, loads of you guys in the audience now. And yeah, it's been really amazing to hear all these girls come forward and say that they need someone to represent them.
And then did you have something specific that triggered you, something you heard or read that you thought, that's it, I'm just going to be who I am?
Well, I came out with what I wanted to do, and I just thought, you know, I'm no longer going to starve myself to fit someone else's idea of beauty, and at the same time, I'm not going to overeat to be this plus size version, you know, side of modeling as well. I'm just going to be myself, and I think that the more that women choose to stand their ground and choose to not conform, the more the industry and society can move forward.
Yeah. I'm going to pass it to Quincy soon, but something that I learned, well, a couple things. I was in fashion a long time ago, the late 80s and early 90s, and I remember going to work and working, I think I was in a studio for British Vogue, and there were some girls there, so beautiful you could barely look at them, what we would call perfect, right? I think slicing up an apple for lunch, not overly happy, but perfectly, certainly what we define as beautiful. Then I would go back to school to Florida State and go to my teammates who were trying to be as big as possible. They probably didn't have perfect skin. Their butts were considered probably big because you needed to get up in the air. And they were having a lot of fun, and they were robust and confident. And I remember then at 18 thinking, I think being perfect or fitting into that definition probably isn't going to make me happy, so I'm probably not going to try. But in fact, connecting with teammates, with other women, being good at something, imagine that. Not how do I look, but like having a skill. It was something that was really, really a powerful moment in realizing that if I could define it, that at least I knew one person would be happy, and that was me. So with that, developing a skill, I'm going to throw it to you, Quincy, because you are a competitive, well, professional surfer, and tell me a little bit about your story.
Yeah, I grew up in Montauk, New York, and have been surfing since I was 7 years old. My mom and my dad and my older brother surf, so kind of was born into it. I said I wasn't going to do it because they all did it. I was like, I'm going to horseback ride. But I just love being at the beach and wanted to be doing what my brother was doing. And,
And have you, I mean, you're in great shape and you're a beautiful girl, but did you ever have a moment where you had to make decisions about how you were going to navigate it for yourself?
yeah, I think you can even see on Instagram there is girls flaunting it, and I think I just always wanted to keep it more natural in me and what felt right to me, and just showing people my surfing skill just felt more right for me.
I think it's important. I said this earlier on a panel. I have, like I said, 3 daughters, and my 13-year-old daughter is going through, she's just right above these guys in about a year. And, she's a pretty girl, and she has nice hair, and we talk about all the time that if beauty is your currency, the world's beauty, then you grow poorer each day. And with life's experience and hopefully learning something and growing and connecting in more relationships, in some ways, hopefully we become richer each day. And I try to, it's hard to do it with your own children because you're their parents. So I think for me, what I've done is just, I try to be that living example, and I don't talk about my butt and how it looks, or that I'm frustrated that, maybe there's a few more fine lines, but that I am taking care of myself, and I have really badass girlfriends. And that was the other thing that I wanted to talk about, which is celebrating the power in other, not only people, but women. I think that when you play, for example, I learned it in sports, but you guys can have it in business. Like, they're very smart, they're very talented. She's a great public speaker, whatever that is. When you can start to compliment and appreciate other women's powers, it liberates you, one, from feeling competitive, because otherwise you're gonna die by that sword. But then also, you can align with their power and appreciate it and celebrate it. And then also what I think it does is it allows you then to appreciate who you are even just a little more. Because we can't be all things. Believe me, we cannot. I've tried, it's just doesn't seem to be happening. And I think in feeling good about, well, who am I? And Quincy and I were talking about being in your lane, appreciating your lane, and then appreciating your fellow sisters' lanes. There's something really liberating when you're not walking around feeling threatened by other people's gifts. So that is certainly one thing I think we can share with our children, but we have to live it. So whether you're a teacher or a coach or an aunt or just a friend of a family, you certainly can do that. And so I wanna turn it over to the young humans, because you guys are the ones at the precipice of, it's a lot to navigate. You're not a kid anymore, you're not a full teenager. There's hormone changes, there's social media. And Zaki, because you're the only man here on this panel right now, we're gonna start with you. First of all, I wanna know, is there something that either a parent or someone in your life has done for you that has made you feel like, yeah, I feel strong enough to be myself?
Well,
don't get all serious now. I saw you in the back there. Come on, let's go. Come on.
Okay.
These people aren't buying it. Come on, Zaki, give it to us.
okay, well, I guess my mom has always really inspired me,
Yeah.
I guess. She helps women every day, and I kind of love that. And it's just great to have her, because I kind of look up to her like a lot, so.
But you have the freedom to be exactly who you want to be. So can you share with everybody some of the things you enjoy doing?
Okay, well, I love dancing.
Okay.
I dance at Alvin Ailey. I also like act, sing, perform. I love performing.
When you go to school, does anyone ever give you a hard time, like, oh, you like to dance or any of that?
Nah.
He's thinking a lot, but he's not quite saying it, is he? Come on, Zaki.
No, I don't really get a hard time, people used to talk behind my back, but I don't really care. I I don't care what they think. It does not matter to me. I'm just gonna do what I want. I'm gonna let them do what they want because, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what people think of you.
That's right. What do they say? What you think of me is not my problem or my concern, right? So I think that's great. Do you have any questions for the ladies?
Well, actually, I have a question for you.
Oh, really? Okay. All right, let's go, Zaki.
So, what do you think kids should do if they see someone being excluded?
Yeah. You know, I think it's so powerful when you bring someone in. Because also they might be being excluded because they could just be a little bit shy and they didn't get into it, the circle, and then other kids maybe aren't being empathetic. So I think I'm always a person who has, and I'm not gonna lie, what was very difficult when I was young was my size. But what has been very easy for me once I became a teenager was my size. Because who was gonna tell me anything, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm bringing them into the circle, they're coming into the circle. So I think we have a compass about what's right and wrong, and I think when we follow that North Star, we always end up at a place that reflects us, and it's a good place, so I always get in there. Because I think, remember, we all know this, people who do bullying or exclude, they're just afraid.
Yeah.
You know? So, all right, Reed. How's it going? Now tell me, Reed, I want to hear just maybe from you one thing that has happened for you, let's say in the last 6 months, that really helped you deal with this time right now in your life.
Well, with Jojo, we
I told you were going to hear about Jojo.
in September we started Hop Keto.
Okay.
It's a martial art, and it's sort of like given me a lot more patience and helped me with like my inner peace, and I really like that because it helps like work out everything. And
so like if there's emotions or frustrations, you have a place to vent it?
Yes.
Okay. And you do it with Jojo?
Yeah.
On Thursdays.
On Thursdays, everybody. I just thought you said that now that you're doing Hop Keto, you know how to kick ass now, so you were all good. But anyway. Do you have a question for Charli or Quincy?
I actually have a question for Charli. Why did you become a model?
I became a model. Is this working?
Yeah. Okay.
Is it working now? Yeah.
Okay, I can hear you.
There we go.
Yeah.
I became a model because I wanted to be accepted, and I honestly thought that if I was considered beautiful, that I would be accepted, and that people would like me, and that I'd get a boyfriend, and that I would be all these fantastic things that I saw in magazines or that I dreamt about being. And actually, I became a model, and that didn't happen. You know, you always think that. You know, you have this idea in your head about what modeling is, and actually, when you become one, it's a lot more difficult than people are aware of. If that helps.
Elyssa, you're our guest Hatch participant today. Welcome.
Thank you.
So you're quite a composed young lady. I've been spending a little bit of time with you, but is there something, is it a family member, is there something or advice or an example that makes you feel good about yourself at this time in life?
My mom is a really big inspiration to me because she, even though things can sometimes get hard in her life and in our lives, she's always there to support me and our family. And she is always just such a positive impact to anyone that she meets, even like random strangers.
Now, you're a very elegant young lady. You're very composed. Is that just natural, or where'd you get that from?
Well, I mean...
What? I want to hear it, right?
When I was younger, you wouldn't have recognized me because I was very...
Oh, okay, so... All right.
I don't know. I was quite something.
Oh, really?
And I mean, that hasn't really changed.
Yes.
I guess I'm more, as you say, composed, but also like, I know where to use my passions, because sometimes I get really upset about things, and like, I'd lash out at people, and I was a bit sassy. I mean, I still am.
So Elyssa, do you have a question for Quincy or for Charli?
Well, actually, I have a question for Charli. I was wondering, how did you find the courage to stand up to the media and to all these people that were looking at you and judging you, and also like the modeling industry?
Honestly, I just don't care anymore. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't care.
that's right.
Wonderful.
No, I just think you reach a time in your life, and I happened to reach it a bit earlier than others, where I just stopped caring. And I just think, you know, I get so much abuse. People aren't really aware of it, but I get loads of like emails on Instagram and on Facebook where they're like, you're ugly, or like, you're fat, and it's like, great, thanks. But you know, it just comes out of a place of jealousy. It's their problem, it's really not mine. So.
Yeah, I love that. And also, have you always been so confident?
No, not at all. I actually had really bad OCD and anxiety growing up, like really bad. We moved around all the time, so I never really felt like I settled anywhere, and my anxiety was just through the roof. And it's only been until recently, actually, that I've addressed it, and that massively plays havoc with your anxiety, with your confidence. Yeah.
All right, Jojo, yeah, get that sip of water, sister. Here we go. Jojo, you, for me, when I see you, and again, I've watched you today, you seem like you're feeling pretty good in that body, in yourself. Where do you get that from?
Wait, is this working? I can't really, I don't know. Yeah, okay, it's on. Cool. Well, I feel like I have a very confident family, and I hang out with pretty confident people. You can see them right here. And yeah, almost all of my family like performs. My mom's a lawyer. She's
a performing lawyer?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I bet you she's good.
But like, yeah. And so I feel like I get it, I kind of absorb it from the people around me. And I think that's probably where I get most of it.
Do you feel like you need approval like when you go to school, or you've got the power of your family and friends and you're good to go?
I don't really need anybody's approval.
I see. And then I know you have a question for somebody.
Well, Quincy. Yeah. Did you ever like put stress on yourself when you were a child surfer? Like with all the moving around and stuff, did you?
Yeah, I grew up living half of my time in Puerto Rico and half at home, so I was pretty much always on the go, and my mom has just always been on the go. So yeah, I would get stressed at contests. I think I would get nervous, like stomach aches and stuff like that. But I think just facing it, you feel so much better afterwards. And as you said, being around confident people, my mom's super confident, so she inspires me a lot. And yeah, surrounding yourself with good people that bring out the best in you, which seems like you do already, so.
Charli, I want to, if you have some wisdom besides running it over with your truck, or, oh, that's my house, that's right. What is some advice about, because the big one, you guys have all grown up with it, I did not, social media, it's a bear. If you have one bit of advice for us to help young people navigating this time in their life with this dimension of their life, what would it be?
My biggest advice would be to remember it is not real. It is fake, it is in another dimension, and the more that I speak to younger people, I think sometimes the crossovers between reality and what you see on a screen can get really mixed up. And so I think it's really important that you remember that what you see online is not real. The pressures, like everything's edited, everything's, you know, perfected, and that isn't real life. So the more that you remember that, I think the happier you'll be. And I hate to say it, but I'm so glad that I didn't grow up at a time when that was a big thing. I don't know how you guys do it.
Yeah, I always remind my daughters, I go, every single person that you look up to has to work really hard to do what they do. So you have to build a real life and, you know, find the place for that. Quincy, what about you? How do you, if you could give some advice on just where to put that in its place?
Yeah, I think social media should be used to spread good things and see your friends or whoever you look up to doing awesome things and just encouraging one another. Definitely don't be mean. I think there's no reason for that, especially online, and yeah.
Yeah, the trolling is my favorite.
Yeah.
Somebody asked Oprah Winfrey that. They go, well, how do you deal with all that? And she goes, I just say, come say it to my face. And I was like, well, there you go. You know, I did learn something really recently that I want to share with all of you, and then I'm going to throw it to the Hatch kids, and we'll wrap it up. I recently interviewed a doctor, an endocrinologist, Dr. Lustig, and he talked about pleasure and happiness. Happiness being a sense of well-being, right? We can't be happy every second. It's not realistic. So peace, well-being, whatever. So pleasure is connected to dopamine, likes, texts. It's all dopamine. Sugar donuts, dopamine, right? Serotonin is connected to happiness. And you can never make too much serotonin. It's not bad for you. The problem with dopamine, you get more, you need more and more and more, right? Then you have tolerance, then you have addiction. And with serotonin, you usually have to do it with others, right? He talks about connecting, coping, contributing, and Cora, cooking. Doing some of these things together. We can't, dopamine, you can buy it, you can eat it, you kind of do it alone. Now, the great thing about serotonin is it's great for you. It just takes a little bit longer. And there's only one thing in our system that regulates our ability to create serotonin, happiness, which is what? Dopamine. So if I could encourage you to be very aware of these electronics, because it is heavier than you realize. Because you can meet people who go, I made $1 million, I've got 700 girlfriends, I'm world known, and I just can't feel happy. Because you can only really do that through probably working hard, connecting, something with yourself, and probably you can't buy it. And so I just want to share that because it's just science. You know, I wish I was smart enough to make it up, and it's just science. So to my Hatch kids, if there's something you would like to tell the adults, one thing for us to be better for you. Zaki, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, well, well, for adults, just let kids be themselves without letting us run wild.
All right, Zaki. I like that.
Yeah.
Reed?
I think adults should encourage kids even if they don't understand them. If they're doing something that makes them happy, they should just encourage them.
Trust them.
Yeah.
Okay. Elyssa?
Yeah, like they said, just never shoot down dreams. Just let them grow. And also try to be as supportive as you can. And also discipline is important. Not too much, but it is important. Because I mean, my life without rules would be sort of interesting.
Yeah, what did they say?
I mean, I would be very different. I would be much less of an amazing person than I am today.
What do they say? They want the adults to be, they don't want us to be in control, but they want us to be in charge, right?
Exactly.
Okay, Jojo, how could I know you have something good for us. Come on.
Kind of like what Zaki said, let kids be kids. Like, if they want to go outside and play for a minute before like homework or something, try and encourage that. Like, don't, instead of taking like a 5-minute break before homework to play on your phone, like that might be fun, but go outside. It's nice. It's like nature. It's cool.
Now, are you guys watching us or are you listening to us?
A little bit of both.
It depends.
Okay, good to know. Charli, do you want to have any last comments?
I feel like you've put me on the spot there. Just live your life and be happy, and don't let people dictate to you what's right or wrong, because there's no right way to be normal.
That's right. And lastly, Quincy, any parting, passionate things that you'd like to bestow upon the audience before we wrap it up?
I think I agree with Charli. Just be yourself, and that is what's going to feel the most right. And I talked with Gabby before this about that, and yeah, be yourself.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, it's one of the greatest things we can do is figure out who we are and what makes us happy. And I learned a long time ago the 30-30-30 rule. No matter what you do, 30% of the people are going to be like, awesome. 30 are going to be like, I don't care. And 30 are going to be like, I hate it. So you might as well do what makes you excited and happy. And it's really just about the people in your real life. So thank you so much for your time. And BlogHer, thank you for bringing this up. And to the Hatch kids, thank you. Jojo, Elyssa, Reed, and Zaki, of course. And to Quinn and Charli, thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you. Aloha.